You ever notice that when Steven Anderson gets cornered, he doesn't just change the subject, he changes realities. He could be caught red-handed in a tutu and somehow end up talking about the Epstein Files. Pastor, are your sons really wearing dresses? Okay. But what about the Epstein Files? Sir, that's not an answer, that's an incantation. You can't just shout, Epstein Files, like it's the Baptist version of Alohomora and expect everyone to forget what they saw. It's the new get out of accountability card. Why is your son wearing a dress in your sermon thumbnail? Why are you watching Epstein documentary, sinner? Like, no, Steven, we're just trying to understand why your closet looks like a Macy's clearance rack in July. I swear, every time someone mentions it, he gets this look. You know that look toddlers get when you ask if they ate the cookie. Did you tell your followers to attack people online? Epstein Files. Did you call a 21-year-old a retard on Facebook? Epstein Files! It's like his brain has a panic button labeled conspiracy diversion protocol. Activate now. He's out there preaching about modesty and biblical roles. Meanwhile, half his family is auditioning for Joseph in the Technicolor Dreamcoat. And look, I'm not mocking the kids. They're victims of a man who's terrified of being human. But the hypocrisy? That's fair game. You don't get to call everyone else degenerate while your own house looks like a Hobby Lobby exploded. Here's what's really going on. It's not about clothes, it's about control, because when the image cracks, the cult panics, and Steven's there trying to glue the cracks with Bible verses taken out of context. Pastor, what about compassion? Pastor, what about forgiveness? Pastor, what about your son's mental health? Deep state! Bro, this isn't spiritual warfare. This is emotional tax evasion. And his followers, they eat it up. They're like, wow, Pastor Steven is so persecuted. Yeah, persecuted by reality. He's basically doing karate against common sense. If denial burned calories, that man would be shredded. Now the funny part, and I mean Shakespeare-level irony funny, is that the same guy who preaches, a child shall not depart from the ways he's been raised, is now yelling, don't blame me for my kids, blame the Epstein Files. You can't have it both ways, Chief. You don't get to brag that your parenting produces warriors for God, and then pull the parachute when the armor turns out to be sequined. It's like, well, the verse only applies until my kid discovers eyeliner. I swear I'm half expecting him to publish a new sermon. Why my children's wardrobe proves the government is after me. Subtitle, Silk is satanic. And the crowd would still be there nodding, because once you convince people you're the prophet, anything becomes holy, even your dry cleaning bill. You know who really loses here? The kids, because they're trapped in a house where grace has been replaced by public relations, where love is conditional and embarrassment is eternal. And instead of facing that, Steven points at the Epstein Files like, bro, that's not discernment, that's distraction. You can tell when a man's run out of arguments. He starts importing scandals. Pastor, what about your hypocrisy? Well, at least I'm not on a private island with billionaires. That's not a defense, that's a geography lesson. So yeah, we laugh because if we don't laugh, we'll scream. We laugh because the absurdity deserves exposure. We laugh because once something's funny, it loses its power. That's why dictators hate jokes. Humor is kryptonite for control. In closing, maybe the moral here isn't about dresses or Epstein Files or who said what in 2015. Maybe it's about what happens when pride eats empathy for breakfast. Because when a man can't face his own reflection, he starts blaming the mirror. The truth is, his sons don't need to be fixed, they need to be loved. And Steven doesn't need a cover-up, he needs courage to say, yeah, maybe I got it wrong, maybe I need to listen before I preach. But until that day comes, we'll keep laughing, not out of cruelty, but out of cruelty. Because comedy, my friends, is God's way of saying, you're lax, you're not him. And if you ever get caught in your own hypocrisy, just remember, don't say Epstein Files! Say I'm sorry.